Good day, students. You're welcome to today's class. This class is for JS1 and as a revision class to JS3 because it is essential to JS3 because we are discussing some part of algebra. Please pay attention and also be with your notebooks and pen as well because we are going to do some exercise while I am teaching. So our specific objective for today, we should be able to factorize simple algebraic expression. Factorize simple algebraic expression. Find the lowest common factor. Find the lowest common multiple of algebraic terms. Simplify algebraic expressions with monomial denominators. I know that some of us don't know what is mono. Mono in mathematics means one, a single term denominator. That is what we mean by that. Single term denominator. Single term denominator, that is what? Monomial denominator. So, our first item here is a factorization. Factorization. In our previous class, we discussed and we practiced HCF of algebraic terms. How to find the HCF of what? Algebraic terms. So the reason why I gave you a single method of finding the HCF of algebraic terms is because of this topic, factorization. Though I gave you people assignment, some people adapt some method, which is also correct, but I am not happy because you people did not apply that method, because you must apply that method in this topic so that you will get it right. So now we are talking about what? Factorization. We said factorization, it is essential for us to have better idea of what? HCF of algebraic term, which I took my time in our last class. I did some and I gave you some as what? Assignment, so that we'll be able to apply it here. So the method of factorizing algebraic terms, I break them into steps so that we will know what to do at a particular time. So our first exercise here is that we should factorize 4xy squared minus 8x squared y. So when you have something like this, the first thing, which is our step 1, is to find the HCF of 4xy squared and what? 8x squared y. So when we are finding the HCF, we have this table here, which is what? The table to find the HCF of 4xy squared and 8x squared y. The first term that can divide through, every term that you will use must be able to divide 4xy squared and also 8x squared y. So the first term we use here is what? 2. When 2 divide 4xy squared gives us what? 2xy squared. And when 2 divide 8x squared y, we have 4x squared y. 2 again divide through, we have what? xy squared, and we also have 2x squared y. So you know that there is no number that can divide through again. So the next thing is what? X. When x divide, we have what? Y squared, and we have 2xy. X cannot divide through again because there is no x attached to y squared. So the next thing we are using, it is what? Y. So when y divide y squared, we have y, and when y divide 2xy, we have 2x. So now you find out that the last two terms, there is no common factor. There is nothing that can divide them. So we'll stop there and we'll calculate we'll multiply the numbers which we obtain at this side, which is 22xy. So we have what? HCF to be equals to 2 times x times y. So when you multiply 2 and 2, you will have 4. Multiply it with x, you have 4x. Multiply it with y, you have 4y. So step 2 of this is that the sign of the first term of the expression should be given to the HCF. If the first term of the expression is carrying a negative sign should be given to the HCF. And if the first term is carrying a positive sign should be given to the word HCF. So in this case, the first term is positive in nature. So that means that 4x 4xy should be positive, which is the plus what? 4xy. So the next thing is that what? We should put the HCF outside the bracket. You know, factorization means you should introduce bracket. But when you hear expand, means you should what? Remove brackets. So we are trying to introduce bracket into the expression where there is no word bracket. So now we've gotten the HCF. We said that the HCF should be outside the bracket. Why did the sign of the HCF should be used to divide the sign of each term of the expression? So if you look at the first term, it is what? Plus 4xy squared. So the plus divided by plus is what? Plus, and minus divided by minus, minus divided by plus is what? Minus. So therefore, you open the put the HCF outside the bracket, then you open the bracket. The final result of the first term should be put in the bracket. Then the sign obtained by the second term should be put in between. Then the final result of the second term should be put at the end before you close the word, the bracket. So let's look at what I did here. We have what? Plus divided by plus is what? Plus, and minus divided by plus is what? Minus. So therefore, the final result of 4xy squared is y. So when I divide minus divided by plus, I have minus, so I put minus here. Then the final result of 8x squared y is 2x. So that is why you have what? 2x there. Then I close the bracket. So you see, initially the expression is not carrying bracket, but my final result is carrying what? Bracket. That means what? I have factorized the given word expression. I hope this is clear. So let's look at a practical example here, which I want us to also understand if the first term is negative, what you are going to do. So the example 1 said simplify the following: A, B, C, and D. You know, my first and second example they are always what? Detailed. But my subsequent examples, I will not give you much information, because I believe that my first and two examples, they have given you what? More information, so that we will be what? Fast in what? Solving. So now we look at the A. We have what? Minus 4y squared minus 6y. We should factorize minus 4y squared minus 16y. So in this case, the first thing we look at is the HCF. So the HCF of what? 4y squared and 16y is what? 4y, which we obtain here. So we said the next step, give the sign of the first term to the HCF. And the first term, which is 4y squared, is negative in nature. So that simply means that our HCF will be what? Minus 4y. So if our HCF is minus 4y, we are going to use the sign of our HCF to divide the sign of each term of the expression. So 4y squared have a negative sign. Divided by negative, it will become positive. Then 16y also is negative. Divided by negative, it will become what? Positive. So that is why the bracket is what? Positive. So you see, we have what? Negative 4y, open bracket, minus divided by minus is plus, and the final result of 4y squared is what? Y. And negative divided by negative is what? Positive. And our final result of 16y is what? 4. So the result we have here is negative 4y, open bracket, y plus 4. I hope this one is clear. So now let's look at B. Now I am not solving the way I solved the first exercise and example A. So now we have negative 3x squared plus 9x. So the first thing we need to do, what is the HCF? Please carry your pen. You will be the one to do this one now, because I won't do it again. You will be the one to do this now. Find the HCF now. Do it now. Find the HCF of 3x squared and 9x. What did you get? If you've done it correctly, I know your HCF will be what? 3x. So if your HCF is 3x, now look at the first term here. What is the sign associated with 8? It is what? Minus. So now our HCF have to be negative in nature. So that is why we have minus 3x as our HCF. So our HCF is what? Minus 3x. So if our HCF is minus 3x, we are going to use this minus sign to divide the minus as assigned to 3x squared and the positive sign as assigned to what? 9x. So minus divided by minus is what? Plus. So your final result of your HCF of 3x squared and 9x, the final result of that of 3x squared will give you what? X. So you put x inside the bracket first. So the positive sign assigned to 9x, you said plus divide by the minus of the HCF, you will have a negative sign. So you put a negative sign, then the final result when you are finding your HCF for 9x will give you what? 3. So that is how we got the what? Minus 3x open bracket x minus 3. So now we have a little complex one, which is what? 9x cubed y squared minus 12xy. So the HCF, the first thing, don't be too carried away by the complexity. It's all about following the sequential order which I've done before. Just follow the step, you will get it. The way it is set is not your problem, it is the step. How did you understand the step? So the first step, I said, find the HCF. So when you find the HCF correctly, do it now. I'm not saying you should do it later. As I'm talking, you do it now. Find the HCF of what? 9x cubed, y squared, and 12xy. So when you find the HCF, you find out that what? The HCF will be what? 3xy. So when you have 3xy, what is the sign assigned to the first term? The sign given to the first term is what? Positive sign. So that positive sign will be associated to also the word HCF. So when you do your division, plus divided by plus is still plus. So the final result during your HCF for 9x cubed y squared is what? 3x squared y. So you put it there, then you do for the division, minus divided by plus is still minus, you put the minus there. Then the final result of what? 12xy will give you what? 4. Which is the 4 you are seeing there. Then you close the bracket. So it is done. I hope it's very easy. Just look at the work. So test that of D. You will also get what? The same thing. I hope it is clear. That is nice. So now the next thing we are looking at difference of two squares. What is difference of two squares? What is square? Square simply means what? Index of 2. When a term have index of 2, it is what? Squared. So the first thing is that how can we factorize this x squared, like something like, if you look at our previous example, you find out that the two terms always have a common factor running through them. But in some condition, you might not see a common factor running through them. So what will you do in such case? So now we have difference of two squares. Let us take, for example, we have what? X squared, y squared, and they ask you to factorize it. Commonly, we will say that there is no common factor between x squared and y squared. So I said, okay, let us test something and see if we can also have x squared, y squared, because in mathematics, any which way is correct, provided that if it is backward way you can get something, and you follow the mathematical rules, then it is done. So I try to see how I can expand x plus y and x minus y. So we've done expansion. In our last class we did what? Expansion, where we have two brackets multiplying themselves. We said in such condition we'll split one bracket and we'll repeat the word order. So I repeat x plus y, I repeat x minus y, and I split what? X plus what? Y. So we have what? X open bracket x minus y close bracket plus y open bracket x minus y close bracket. So when you when you are done with this, the next thing is to open the bracket by multiplication, which will say that what? Any term outside the bracket, multiply every item in the bracket. So we now said what? X times x gives us what? The x squared there, and x times minus y gives us minus xy. Then we have plus y times x gives us what? Plus xy, and plus y times minus y gives us what? Minus y squared. Why? How do we have the minus y squared? Plus times minus is what? Minus. Then y times y is what? Y squared. So the item at the middle, we have minus xy plus xy. That simply means that minus 5 plus 5, minus 10 plus 10, minus 100 plus 100, minus 2 plus 2 is what? 0. So that means that minus xy plus xy is what? 0. So we have what? X squared minus y squared. So if we can expand x plus y and x minus y to give us x squared minus y squared, that simply means that if we factorize x squared minus y squared, we are going to have what? X plus y, open and close bracket, then open another bracket, x minus y. So this x, open bracket, x plus y, and open bracket, close bracket, open bracket, x minus y is the factor of x squared minus what? Y squared. So anytime you are given something like this to factorize, then you put it this way: x, open bracket, x plus y, close bracket, open bracket, x minus y. I hope it is clear. So let's look at this example. Example 2. Factorize the following: y squared minus 4, b 81x raised to the power of 6 minus 49y squared. So when you have something like this, the first thing you need to look at, how can I express them in the power of 2? That is the first step. The first step is what? How can I express them in the power of what? 2. So now let's look at A. A, we have y squared minus 4. And you know that the two sides of the negative sign must be in power of 2. So now we look at 4. Can 4 be expressed as power of 2? Then we know that what? 4 is a perfect square. So since 4 is a perfect square, that means that 4 can be expressed as what? Power of what? 2. So we have 2 raised to the power of 2 is what? 4. So instead of us writing 4 now, we will now write what? Y squared minus 2 squared. So if we have y squared minus 2 squared, it now looks like our initial expression, which is what? S squared minus y squared. So now, in place of the x, we put y. In the place of y, we put 2. So now we now have what? X plus y, open bracket, y plus 2, close bracket, open bracket, y minus 2. So that simply means that if you have difference of 2 squares, just pretend as if you are not seeing the word, the power of 2. Just put the item and put plus in between. Again, put them in bracket. Then again, you open another bracket and you put the item again and put negative sign. That is all. And that is what we just what? Obtained here. So now the one for B, we still do the same thing. This for B, the one for B is a little bit complex because of what? The numbers are just what? Scattered. Now we have something like 81x raised to the power of 6. So now we want the two sides to be power of 2. So how can you make this compound term to have an index of 2? So the first thing we need to do, we have to express 81 and 49 in power of 2 first. So now we look at 81 as a what? Perfect square, and 81 as a perfect square, and 49 as a perfect square. So what are the things that you will square that will give you 81 and 49? So if I choose square 9, I will have 81, and if I square 7, I will have what? 49. So in this aspect, I have x raised to the power of 6. So I need to look for 2 in 6. So when I'm looking for 2 in 6, you now look for what will you use to multiply 2 to give you what? 6, which is 3. So that is why I leave the index of what? 3 for what? X here, which I put the 2 outside. If you want to open the bracket, you will still have the same thing, applying your law of indices. which is what? The index outside multiply the index of every item inside the word bracket. So I just factorized the 2 outside, and also I did the same thing to 7 squared y squared. You know, 7 squared y squared, they now have a common index of what? 2. Then 9 and x squared now have x cubed now have a common index of what? 2. You see now the bracket now made them to look as if it is what? X squared minus what? Y squared. So we do the same thing. Pretend as if you are not seeing the index of 2. Then you just open a bracket, put the first item plus the second item, close the bracket, then open another bracket, put the first item minus the second item. You see? That is how I obtain the word, the final answer. So let's look at C. C, we have what? X raised to the power of 6 minus what? 9. So I can borrow idea from what? The B, which B we see something like x raised to the power of 6. So I think of how can I have power of 2? So I now find out that if I should multiply 2 and 3, I will have what? 6. So that is why I put the 3 with the x, then 6 outside. Then minus, you find 9 is a perfect square, so we express 9 in index form, which I have what? 3 squared. So we do the same thing, just close the squares, then you bring the items together, you put plus, then you also open another bracket, you put minus in between them. I hope this solution is very, very clear. Please pay attention and follow up. So we have the last subtopic for the day. It is what? Algebraic expression involving fraction with monomial denominators. We've done what? Fraction before. At the beginning of the term we did fraction. I think it should be something like week 3 or week 4. We did fraction before. So we are not abandoning that idea. You still apply the same thing also in what? In algebra as well. When you see fraction, the first thing, anytime you see fraction in expression, we don't do the same thing with equation. In equation, it's a little bit different, but you will still see the same ideology, which is what? LCM. When you hear fraction, just remember LCM. That is the basic thing, the LCM of the denominators. So the only one I want to solve is what? A. Then you will take B and C as my first assignment, then with others as you will see at the assignment slide. So we now have something like this: B over 6C minus C over 4B. So the first thing, during a fraction we talk about what? Equivalent fraction. So since the denominators are not the same, the first thing we need to do, we want to find the equivalent fractions of the individual fraction so that the denominators will be the same. So the first step we are going to take is to find the LCM of the denominators. So when we find the LCM of the denominators, we have what? 12BC. So when we have 12BC now, you have to find the equivalent fraction of the individual item with respect to the LCM, so in such a way that their denominators, each of the fractions denominators, will be equal to the word LCM. So now I now express 6 all over B all over 6C. The first thing I need to do, I express it. I said, okay, now I want to find the equivalent fraction. So we look for what can I use to multiply 6C to give me 12BC. So I know that if I should use 2 to multiply 6, it will become 12. Then if I attach 2 to B, it will become what? 12/6B. 12BC. So if we have 12BC at the denominator, for the fraction to remain the same, anything you use to multiply the denominator, use the same thing to multiply the word numerator. That is why we have what? B times 2B all over 6C times 2B. So you see 2B at the numerator, 2B at the word denominator. So B times 2B will give you 2B squared, and 6C times 2B will give you 12BC. So now that means that 2B squared all over 12B 12bc is the same thing as what? B all over 6c. So we look at the next fraction. The next fraction is what? C all over 4b. Then we'll now look at the denominator again. How can I make 4b to become 12bc? So you know that if I should use 3 to multiply 4, it will become 12. If I attach c to it, it will become 12bc. So since I'm using 3c to multiply the denominator, I will also use 3c to multiply the what? Numerator. So when I multiply the numerator, which is c times 3c, will give me what? 3c squared, and 4b times 3c will give me 12bc. So we now have what? 3c squared all over what? 12bc. So that simply means that I am to carry out the operation using the equivalent fraction. Abandon the what? The normal what? Fraction. So instead of me writing b all over 6c, I'm using what? 2b squared all over 12bc. Then minus, instead of me writing c all over 4b, I'm writing what? 3c squared all over what? 12bc. The purpose of this is that anytime you have fractions which the denominators are what? The same, the only thing you will do, you concentrate on the numerator. Just put only one denominator there. So that is why if you look at the next step, you see only one denominator, which is 12bc. Then the numerator subtract themselves based on the operation that function in between them. I hope this one is very clear. So please and please follow the sequential order and solve this what? Simple assignment, which the assignment from number 2 to number 5, they are all from what? Evergreen. I obtained them from Evergreen 2018. Then that of number 1, you will solve the remaining BC of my example. I hope you understand what we've just done, and please solve more exercise, consult more textbooks, solve more exercise, and you can also what? Reach me for clarification via my WhatsApp line, and my assignment should be submitted through my WhatsApp line, which is on the screen. Thank you and have a nice day. God bless you. Bye.